Good evening, and welcome to the third night of the 2020 Plays in Development for the Sauk Theater. I'm Trinity Bird. I am the Executive Director at the Sauk. It's my pleasure to welcome you tonight. Before we begin, we have a few announcements. First, we want to thank our sponsors for Plays in Development. That would be Country Carpets, Playford Real Estate, Don Toffolo of Edward Jones, and our longtime Plays in Development sponsor, Gossage Eye Institute and Optical. And this week, we also are excited to announce that we have received a COVID-19 emergency grant from the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs and the National Endowment for the Arts. And we thank them so much for helping Michigan arts organizations continue to operate during this time. Tonight's reading will last approximately 95 minutes, and then we will have an interactive talkback with the playwright, Bruce Karp. If you'd like to participate in that talkback, all you have to do is be watching us on YouTube. If you are currently watching us on Facebook or our website, at the top of the screen is the title of the show. If you click that, it will take you to YouTube where there's a chat feature. If you type in that chat, we will be able to see what you are saying, and you can ask questions of the playwright as well as the director, Jennifer Wagler, who will be with us as well. We also want to make sure that you know that tonight's play does include some strong language and a brief moment of violence, and we want you to know that in case there are people who maybe would rather not see those things. We also need to tell you that tonight's show has a very brief intermission. We will be taking a 3-minute virtual intermission between each act, and we hope that you'll stick around for Act 2. Next week, believe it or not, is the last week of Plays in Development. A week from tonight, we will present Play in Development number 4, a short play called The Long Wait by Jonesville's own Sarah Gray, and we hope that you'll join us for that as well. I think that's everything from me, except to say thank you for joining us again on this virtual platform. And if you want to see tonight's play or any of the other plays in development after the broadcast, you can see those at our website, thesauk.org. So sit back in your living rooms, get comfortable, and enjoy Clear Blue Sky.
Clear Blue Sky by Bruce Karp. Act 1, Scene 1. A small town in southern Maine where everyone typically knows everyone else. It is September 11th, 2011. Lights up on Harvey Goren's cramped living room kitchen. There is a door at rear stage right that clearly leads outdoors. Harvey is sitting at a small kitchen table, looking passive, drinking coffee and eating a donut with a lunchbox nearby. A television is turned on, which he is watching, while also holding a remote.
And today marks 10 years since the terrible World Trade Center tragedy in New York City on 9/11/2001, where more than 3,000 victims perished. As has been the case in prior years, a memorial will take place at the site later this morning, with the reading of the victims' names, many by family members of the victims. Watching the memorial each year brings back the awful memory of that day, a day that America will likely never forget.
Harvey cuts off the sound and picture with the remote, puts down the remote, stands, and leaves through the door with lunchbox as lights fade. Act 1, Scene 2. Later, the same day. A small office belonging to Coastal Security Company. A sign hangs on a back wall with the company name and its motto, your main source for security. Glenn Canfield enters and turns on lights and a computer on a desk, then heads off stage. Shortly thereafter, Harvey enters office and heads for his desk, situated across from Glenn's, turns on his own computer, puts his lunchbox in a desk drawer, then sits down and starts looking at papers on his desk as Glenn returns.
Hey, old man, how's it going?
Just great, young man.
Did you get stuck in all the traffic on Route 1?
No. Was there an accident or something?
Nah. Now that it's after Labor Day, most of the tourists are gone, so they're starting to do some road work, laying down new asphalt, that kind of thing.
I didn't see any of that. Because I come down from the north and you come up from the south. So they must have started the work down by you.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. Well, let me tell you, it was a giant pain in the ass getting here, and the road work's supposed to take 2 weeks.
Isn't there any other way for you to get here?
No, not really. My trip is all on Route 1.
That sucks. Guess you'll have to leave a little earlier, or just sleep here.
I'm not doing either of those things. Geez, I'm having enough trouble sleeping with the new baby and all, and Sherry's not sleeping too well either.
I suppose babies grow out of it.
I'm not sure I can wait that long.
Well, the joys of having a kid will outweigh the early struggles.
Yeah, I suppose so. Or I'll be in divorce court. Hey, you never had kids, right?
That's true. That's why you can't rely on anything I tell you about kids.
Yeah, you're not reliable at all.
So I see we've got a busy day ahead of us.
Today's the 11th, right?
All day.
Okay, well, I'm heading out to do some maintenance work on 2 security systems this morning. Can you take the new installation at...
He looks at his computer and types in a few items of information as Harvey walks to Glenn's desk.
Geez, the computer's slow today. The Morgan house, Carol Morgan, it's there on the computer under pending jobs.
Yeah, I see it. She lives at... Oh, this is a good one. 1492 Columbus Street.
What's so good about it?
Don't you get it? Columbus in 1492. Columbus discovered America in 1492.
Oh, okay, now I get it.
You were not a history major in college, were you?
I went to community college.
They don't teach history in community college? This is something they teach kids early on, like in 2nd grade.
All right. It was just a brain fart. I know about Columbus.
I'm sure you do. I'm just kidding around with you.
Yeah, thanks. Next, you can fill me in about Lincoln's assassination. I'm sure you were in the audience that night.
I don't know how old you think I am, but... Okay, time to move on.
And I also realized today's 9/11, so I'm not totally ignorant of American history.
Yeah, well, this has always been a rough day for me.
Why? Did you lose someone on that day?
I kind of lost myself that day.
That's heavy. What does that mean?
It's not important. Another time, maybe.
Sure. Another time.
Hey, we should get going, especially if they're doing road work on Route 1.
Yeah, you're right.
Occasionally, the old man knows what he's talking about.
More than occasionally.
You think so? Hey, thanks.
I mean it. I'm glad you're here. You're helping me grow up.
Did marriage and a new baby do that?
Yeah, a little, but I'm still working on it.
Well, anyways, I'm flattered.
Don't let it go to your head, old man.
And
the moment is past. On that note, I'm off.
He picks up keys from a hook on the wall and exits.
Later.
Glenn sits back down to check computer one more time, but it is still giving him problems.
Damn computer. I gotta get this fixed.
He unplugs computer, plugs it back in, sits a few seconds waiting for something to happen, and lights fade. Act 1, Scene 3. Lights rise on Carol Morgan's living room. There are some moving boxes stacked in a corner, and furnishings are sparse. A doorbell rings and Carol enters, her hair covered by a bandana. She is carrying a broom.
Coming.
She gets to the door, looks through door window, opens door, peeks out, and sees Harvey.
Can I help you?
Good morning. I'm Harvey from Coastal Security. I'm here to install your new security system.
Oh, yes. Hi, please come in. I'm so sorry. I'm completely forgot you were coming today. I'm Carol. I'm a bit of a mess this morning. Still unpacking, and the place needs a good cleaning.
It's no problem. Moving is always challenging, isn't it?
Oh, that's the word for it, all right.
This is a nice house. Good bones and all that.
Oh, it was built in 1918, craftsman style. I always wanted a home like this.
And now you have it.
That's true. But it's an old house, and old houses can make their owners old without much effort.
That's also true. But it looks to be in fine shape from the outside. You had it inspected, I'm sure, before you bought it?
Yes, it was well kept by the previous owners. 2 guys. They had it for about 30 years. They recently retired and decided to move to Florida. Got tired of the cold winter weather. I happen to love cold weather.
Are you from Maine?
No, we moved from New Jersey.
That's a big change. I'm a Maine native, so I'm used to the cold winters. But I think you'll find that the summers are terrific.
I hope you're right. That's how I convinced my teenage son to give this area a try. He likes the water and hiking, so I think he'll be okay. But basically, We needed a change of scenery after my husband died.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. It happened a while back, not recently. We toughed it out for many years without him. Anyway, it seemed that it was time to try something completely new. Jesse and I came up a year ago during the summer and fell in love with the area.
It's easy to do.
We decided to make the move this year. We came up again in late June when the school year was over, found this house, and I sold our New Jersey house faster than I expected, so here we are. Jesse's 16 and in high school. We've only been here a couple of weeks, and he's still trying to fit in. I guess we both are.
I'm sure you'll be fine. People are friendly up here.
Well, if you're an indicator of people up here.
Thanks. I try. I mean, I provide a service to people, so I should be nice. It doesn't take much effort to be that way.
Well, clearly, I'm not in New Jersey.
You mentioned your son's in high school. I guess he's what, a junior?
No, he's a senior. He skipped the 8th grade. He's very shy, very smart. Most kids consider him to be a nerd, and he has no problem being by himself. I guess I worry about that.
Well, you know, kids have a way of getting through the challenges of life. It'll all work out.
You sound like an expert. I hope you're right. Do you have any kids?
No. I guess that takes away from any wisdom you might have detected.
Well,
In my defense, I was 16 once upon a time, and I know what it's like to not quite fit in.
I guess that counts for something.
Just give it some time. Things are supposed to get better with time. So they say.
Whoever they are.
Just a figure of speech. So, let's talk about installing your security system.
He opens his bag and takes out papers as Carol puts down her broom.
Wait, could you hold on for just a sec?
He walks to a TV situated on a nearby table, turns it on.
I hope you won't mind, but I want to watch the memorial ceremonies at the World Trade Center. I watch it every year to hear the reading of the victims' names.
Sure. You said you were from New Jersey. Did you lose someone that day?
Yes, that's when I lost my husband.
Harvey comes back to attention, looks at Carol, blackout. Act 1, Scene 4. A few weeks later, a Saturday, a home improvement store. Carol's back is to the audience, appearing to look at items on a display when Harvey enters, holding a piece of paper to which he refers.
Light bulbs. I need light bulbs.
He turns, and as he does, Carol turns around and they accidentally bump into each other.
I am so sorry.
It's my fault. I'm the one who should be sorry. Oh, hi. Harvey from the security company, right?
Yes, Mrs. Morgan. How are you? Sorry, my mind's in the clouds.
That's okay. You're forgiven. So you're here for the light bulb sale?
I wouldn't have missed it for the world. To be honest, I had no idea they were having a light bulb sale.
Is this how you spend your Saturdays, trolling the hardware stores for sales?
Not always. But aside from buying light bulbs, I need to fix a few things to make sure my house is in good shape to survive the winter.
Yeah, winter. I can hardly wait.
You said you wanted a change. I think you're going to get what you asked for.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It was plenty cold in New Jersey, but we didn't always get the snow that you get up here. I think that may be the hard part. Whenever it snowed in Jersey, people would rush to supermarkets and stores like this and to stock up as if they were going to be shut in for weeks. Usually a day or two later, and things were pretty much normal again.
I can assure you, we handle snow much better around here because we get so much of it.
I will hope for the best.
You'll be fine. No problems with the security system, I hope.
No, everything's working just fine. We haven't been robbed yet, so we're ahead of the game. Some of the programmable controls are a little confusing.
Well, if you need a little more counseling on how to work the thermostats, I'd be glad to stop by on my way home from work one night this week.
Well, that's very nice of you, Harvey, but I have a 16-year-old computer nerd at home who is very good at solving all my technical issues.
Of course. The kids know everything about technology. Well, it was worth asking. Say, I hope this isn't too forward, but would you maybe like to go for coffee sometime? You know, just to talk. And I could tell you more about the area, maybe introduce you to some of the local sites and people.
That's very nice of you. I must admit, I've been looking for work and I'm not having a great deal of success, so maybe you have some ideas on that subject.
I'd be glad to help you.
It was probably not the best idea to come up here without a job, but I figured with the money from my house sale and some other money from my husband's life insurance, I could get by for a while, but mostly I just need something to keep me busy.
I can understand that.
And Jesse wants to look for a part-time job too for after school, maybe the weekends too.
I'll keep my ears open.
Thank you. That's very kind of you.
May I call you this week to set something up?
Yes, you may call me this week. And please call me Carol.
I will call you this week. And I will call you Carol.
Okay, we'll talk. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, Harvey.
Same to you, Carol.
They shake hands as lights fade. Act 1, Scene 5. The following Monday, the Coastal Security Company office. Harvey is standing behind Glenn, looking over his shoulder as Glenn tries to get his computer to work.
This goddamn piece of shit computer!
Calm down. Yelling at the computer won't make it work any better.
I know that, but it's frustrating.
What it is old. We probably need to do an update to the system.
I know, but that's probably going to cost more than I'm able to spend on it right now.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. I wish I knew more about this stuff.
Me too.
Aren't young people like you supposed to be the know-it-alls with technology?
You'd think so, but I'm not. I mean, I took online classes to learn how to install our security systems, but I can't fix a broken computer.
There must be someone we can call who fixes these things for a living.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, they're not cheap, and they try to sell you newer equipment. I can't handle the expense right now.
Okay.
I'm sorry for yelling. You got any other ideas?
You know I might. Let me make a phone call.
Lights fade. After a pause, they come up again. It is later the same day. Jesse Morgan, Carol's son, is sitting in Glenn's seat while Glenn and Harvey are behind him, watching him work on the computer problems.
I think I figured out the problem.
Go on.
Well, it looks as if you're low on memory.
I have that problem every day.
I mean, your computer is low on memory.
Yeah, I got it. It was a joke.
Oh.
So that's why it's running so slowly?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Is there an easy way to fix the problem?
Have you ever cleaned out some of your files? You know, like old ones that you don't need anymore?
God, no. Who has the time? Well, I mean, I haven't made time to do anything like that, and I wouldn't know where to start.
There's something you can do called defragmenting.
Do what?
Defragmenting. Basically, it's a process of scrunching up your files to make room for more data to be held in the computer's memory bank.
That sounds great.
And inexpensive?
Yes, you can make more memory space available. It would also help to delete some of your files that you don't need any longer, but if you don't have time for that right now, defragmenting is the way to go. Another option would be buy more memory, but honestly, your computer's so old, you might not be able to upgrade to a larger memory.
Can you do this defragmenting for me?
Sure, it takes a little while to get done, but I can come by maybe tomorrow after school, like I did today, and get started on it.
Wow, that'd be awesome. I'd pay you, of course. I don't have any idea how much, but we can talk about that.
I'll do it for $50.
I can do that. That's a deal.
Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. After school, say about 3:30.
Great.
Jesse, how'd you get here? Did your mom drop you off?
No, I walked.
From the high school? It's a very long walk, isn't it?
It's not so bad, and I don't mind walking.
Your mom said you liked hiking, but...
I really don't mind. It gives me time to think and be by myself.
Please let me drive you home. I feel responsible for getting you here.
Really, it's okay. You've been to my house, so you know it's not that far from here. I'll be home in 20 minutes.
Okay. But if you ever need a ride and your mom's not available, give me a call.
That's really nice, sir, but I'm fine.
Well, you be careful. We need you to finish this project.
Don't worry. I'll be careful. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
I have an idea. What would you say about hiring Jesse, just as a part-timer, to help us to work on cleaning up the computer system, and maybe doing some odd jobs like organizing files, answering the phones when we're not here? He's obviously a smart kid, and I don't think you'd have to pay him all that much. I know his mother would be happy.
Dude, are you trying to get in good with his mother?
No, I'm just trying to do something nice for a newcomer to our town. And, might I add, a new customer and her kid. You know, she's a single mother, and she just lost her husband on 9/11.
Wow. Losing her husband with a small kid?
Right. She moved up here to try to forget.
How can you ever forget? I know I can't, and I wasn't even near there.
Yeah, So anyway, what do you think about hiring Jesse?
It's not a bad idea. We could use a little help around here. It might help grow the business if I don't have to keep working on all kinds of paperwork. I guess every little bit helps. Yeah, let's do it. Let's ask him if he wants to work here.
Good man.
Lights fade. Act 1, Scene 6. A week later, a small cafe diner. Harvey and Carol are seated at a table for two with cups of coffee.
I can't thank you enough for hiring Jesse. He's very happy to be working there.
It was nothing. Believe me, it helps to have someone there who is fluent in technology, because Glenn and I are not.
Well, that seems to be his specialty.
He's fixed our whole computer system in his first week. It has more memory, and he set up some online files for us so that we can now find things.
I'm so glad he could help.
We love having him there. How's he doing in school? I know you said he was shy, but he hasn't been shy around us at the shop.
I guess he's in his element with you guys. At school, well, he just has never been one to fit in, at least with kids his own age. He's a sweet kid, such a sweet kid. I really want him to enjoy this time of his life.
Yeah, you're only young once. Sometimes it's a bummer.
Yeah, and it sure has been for Jesse.
Yeah. Hey, I'm sorry. I guess that might have come out the wrong way. You know, insensitive. You guys had a terrible loss.
No, it's okay. I know you didn't mean anything by it.
But what I meant was that kids can be cruel to other kids. I was a chubby kid myself into my late teens, and I took a lot of ribbings from some of the other kids. It made me withdraw into myself. In some ways, I'm still working on it.
I think that maybe Jesse just has an old soul because he had a lot of heartache as a young boy. What about your family? Are your parents
Still living? Absolutely. My dad's almost 80. Lives down in Ogunquit with my mom. He joined the army right out of high school and ended up becoming a cook.
How interesting.
Yeah, he really took to it. At one time, he was cooking for over 500 men and women at an army base in the Carolinas. When he got out of the service, he came back up here, started working in restaurants, trained to be a full-fledged chef, and opened his own place about 40 years ago. He still shows up every day to oversee the operation. My mom's given up trying to get him to retire.
Having a purpose is probably keeping him going. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
No, it's just me.
It's nice that they're close by. I guess you get to see them all the time.
No, not really. We had a bit of a falling out a few years back.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yep. Just family matters.
Sure, I understand.
I don't want to pry into your personal life, but do you mind if I ask why you haven't remarried? You're still young, and it seems to me that you could
That I could have or should have remarried to move on with my life?
Well, I don't presume to know what it was like to go through what you went through.
No, you certainly can't know what it was like.
I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't have brought up the subject.
Harvey, it's okay. It was my own personal hell. No other way to describe it. It was a terrible day for thousands of families, for the whole country, really.
Yes, I agree.
And I had a 6-year-old child to raise. I had to explain to him that he was never going to see his dad again. Naturally, he didn't understand the magnitude of what happened that day. He just wanted to be with his dad. I went into a deep depression for a long time afterwards. But Jesse was the one who kept me going. I had to for him. And after a while, with the help of therapy and not incidentally lots of medication, the anger and sadness went away. But so did the need to be with someone. I became less dependent on others, decided to work on raising Jesse to be the young man I thought my husband would want him to be. And before I knew it, several years had gone by, big decisions had to be made, and bottom line is I'm here in Maine, trying to make a new life for myself and my wonderful, almost adult boy. I hope that answers your questions.
I didn't mean to bring up any bad memories. Far from it.
I know you meant no harm. It's just that it still hurts. It'll always hurt. I've just learned to keep it in a place where it hurts just a little bit less. Well, that's enough about me. What about you? Have you always worked in the security field?
No. I kind of fell into it after working for my dad's restaurant for several years. I wasn't a great student, worked just hard enough to get my high school diploma, and I wasn't invested in going to college. That was probably not a good move. I guess I wasn't very motivated.
Well, that seems hard to believe.
It was certainly true at the time. I was going to enlist in the military right around the time of the Gulf War, 20 years back, but my dad sat me down and said, "Kid, I fought in Korea. No son of mine is going off to fight in a war. You're going to work in my restaurant, and that's that." So that's what I did for almost 6 years.
He obviously knew what it was like to fight in a war.
Yeah, he's a war is hell kind of guy. And I admit, even with all our differences, I still admire him for that.
He just wanted to protect you.
Yes, I'm sure that's what it was.
So how did you get into home security?
I was getting bored working in the restaurant. My dad, being the control freak that he is, didn't want me working in the kitchen. I wanted to learn how to cook and maybe open my own restaurant one day. But he would have none of that. He thought I didn't have the initiative to work so hard.
Sounds as if he was making a lot of your life decisions for you.
Exactly. That was the cause of our first big falling out.
So what happened?
I had to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I could have gone away and worked in another restaurant, or worked for one of Dad's competitors in town, or gone to cooking school, but the fates had other ideas.
What do you mean?
It was an accident, really. I picked up a Sunday paper and started looking into classifieds. Our local airport in Portland was expanding, and they needed people in airport security. You know, checking bags for drugs, weapons, and the like. When this happened back in the 90s, it wasn't such a big issue, but it needed to be done.
Yes, things were different then.
I did it for a few years before there was a TSA. Then, well, there was 9/11, and you know the rest.
Yes.
And the stress ramped up to a level that I could no longer take, so I left.
I get that. Ugh.
I went through a period of unemployment and depression. I tried going back to work for my dad, but his restaurant was going through a slow period because people weren't traveling so much after 9/11, and he couldn't or wouldn't hire me.
I can't believe he wouldn't hire his own son back to work.
He was still very upset with me from our previous blow-up. I'm not sure he's forgiven me yet.
When was the last time you saw your parents?
It's a long time now. Maybe 2 years.
Wow, I'm so sorry.
She tries to reach out to take Harvey's hand, but he recoils.
Have I done something wrong?
Oh, no, not at all. I should be the one apologizing.
What on earth for?
I don't know. I'm just not very good at talking about myself.
I see that. Can I ask you something?
Sure, anything.
It's basically the same question you asked me. Why haven't you gotten married?
I seem to function better on my own. Simple as that.
Fair enough. I guess it's just that well, maybe I was imagining this, but I thought there was, or might be, something that was starting between us. Oh my god. I'm embarrassing myself.
No, stop. You're doing nothing of the kind. Give me your hand. Maybe a better explanation is that I'm an emotional nightmare. I would very much like to be your friend. And if I'm being honest, I need to tell you that that's all I can handle right now at this point in my life.
Carol releases her hand from Harvey's hands and sits back in her chair.
Okay, I understand. I would be happy if we could develop a friendship.
Me too. I'm glad to know you have an open mind about emotional nightmares.
Remember, I was one myself once. But I also have an open mind. I need to work on having an open heart.
They both lean back in their chairs, nod, and lights fade. Act 1, Scene 7. A few days later, the Coastal Security Company office. Harvey and Jesse are standing alongside Harvey's desk. Harvey holds a toolkit, preparing to go out on a job. Jesse holds a piece of paper in his hand.
I need to get going. I'm already going to be a few minutes late for my next appointment.
Okay.
Glenn should have been back by now. I guess that installation he's working on is taking longer than he thought.
I'm sure he'll be back soon.
Are you sure you'll be okay here by yourself?
Harvey, I've been working here almost 2 weeks. I've been by myself and I've even answered the phone. Don't you remember?
Yes, I'm sorry. That piece of paper you're holding has the Connor's phone number on it. Would you please call them to let them know I'm running a little late, but I'm on my way?
Sure. I'll get on it as soon as you leave. Go. Go.
Okay, boss. I have my cell phone if there are any problems.
I'll be fine. You don't need to worry. Go.
I'm going. See you later.
Jesse looks around the office, sees a jumble of papers on Harvey's desk, sits at the desk, puts the papers in a neat pile, then picks up the phone and dials.
Hello? Is this the Connor's home? Hi, this is Jesse from the Coastal Security Company. I'm fine. How are you? Good. I'm just calling to let you know that our installer Harvey is running a few minutes behind, but he just informed me that he's on his way to your home and should be there in a few minutes. You're very welcome. Well, thanks. You have a nice day too. Bye. People up here are so nice.
He leans back in the chair, hands behind his head, then leans forward and turns on Harvey's computer.
It's a slow day. I need something to do. Google. Glenn Canfield. There he is. Glenn Canfield, owner of the Coastal Security Company, member of Southern Maine Business Alliance, a native, married, one child. Well, that's boring. Let's see if there's anything more interesting about Harvey. Let's see. Native of Maine, attended my high school. Some news articles. Oh my God. This is unbelievable.
He continues reading as lights fade. After a brief pause, the lights rise on the office. It is the next morning. Jesse is standing at Glenn's desk where Glenn is seated.
What? You're leaving us?
Yes.
Why? This is so sudden. Everything seemed fine when you went home yesterday. Did something happen?
No. Not really.
Not really.
I'm just a little bored working here. And I think I've done everything I can do to help you, with your technology problems.
Yes, you've been a great help. We, Harvey and me, we really appreciate what you've done.
Thanks.
Are you sure nothing's wrong? Are we not paying you enough?
No, really, you've been great. I would just like to try something else.
Do you have another job already?
Not yet. I'm exploring other options.
I don't know what to say. Harvey's going to be quite upset too. I wish he was here so you could say goodbye to him too.
Yeah, well, you know how small this town is. I'll probably run into him somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, I really need to get going. I gotta go home and help my mom with something at home. I'm all caught up on the work you gave me this morning.
Yeah, okay, great. Hey, I owe you some pay for this week.
It's not that much. Don't worry about it.
Hey, never refuse your pay when you've worked for it. I'll mail a check to your house, or you can come by and pick it up.
Would you mind mailing it?
If that's what you want, sure.
Thanks. And thanks for letting me work here.
Hey, no problem. You keep in touch. If you change your mind or if things don't work out at your next job, call me. You're always welcome here.
Yeah. Thanks.
Shit, what just happened?
Hi, I'm back.
Yeah, hi.
I just saw Jesse outside walking away. Did he have to leave early?
Yeah, he left all right.
What do you mean? Did something happen?
He just quit.
He quit?
You heard me, and I have no idea why. Well, he said he was bored, but this was so sudden. Did he talk to you about any kind of problem?
No, not at all. He was asking about having more work to do. Maybe he was bored being around us old guys.
Hey, speak for yourself. But yeah, maybe.
He's a smart kid. It's possible that our office issues didn't challenge him all that much.
I guess that's possible, but it seemed as if something else was on his mind.
I could call him, or better yet, his mother. I've gotten to know her a little bit.
Maybe that's a good idea. I mean, if we did something or said something that we weren't aware of, we kidded him a lot about his being a techie, but we were never mean to him, were we?
I don't think so. Let me call his mother and see what I can find out.
Yeah, okay. But don't call today. Let's give it until the weekend and call next week. I don't want to seem desperate or anything.
Okay, if that's what you want.
Yeah, I think so. Man, this sucks.
Lights fade. Act 1, Scene 8. The Morgan's house, later that afternoon. As lights rise, Jesse is sitting on a sofa with his laptop. There is a knock on the door. Jesse rises, goes to the door, opens it, and sees Harvey.
Hi, Jesse.
Hey.
Do you mind if I come in?
My mom's not here, if that's what you wanted to know.
No, it's you I wanted to talk to. Look, I just came from the shop. Glenn told me you resigned. I just wanted to know what happened.
Yeah, well, it's like I told Glenn. I was just bored, with the work.
Okay. It's just that it seemed kind of, sudden.
Yeah, I guess. But it's been on my mind a little while.
Did you ever talk to Glenn about getting some new things to do?
No, I don't think it would have helped. He's always talking about having no money.
That's true enough. But maybe I could have talked to him about training you to help with some of the installations or something like that.
It's not really what I want to do with my life.
Okay, fair enough. But I wish you'd talk to me first.
What for? You're not my dad.
Jesse, I'm not trying to be a replacement for your dad. I never could be. But I thought we'd built, some sort of relationship where you could trust me a little.
Really? Can I trust you, Harvey?
What do you mean?
You heard me.
Where's this coming from?
I know about the 9/11 stuff, Harvey. You were on duty at the airport when the terrorists came through Canada, and you let them get through security. I know.
Okay, I see. Now it makes sense. How did you find out?
I Googled your name and newspaper articles came up from 2001 and last 9/11.
That stuff never goes away.
On the internet? Are you kidding? Shit stays with you your whole life on the internet.
Listen, Jesse, about what you read, it's not that simple.
Don't touch me!
I'm sorry. Please, just listen to me.
Jesse backs up and sits down hard on the sofa, looking down. At the same time, Carol appears at rear of stage, carrying a grocery bag. She has heard the shouting and has appeared partially, standing quietly and listening to the conversation.
How did you not know they had weapons?
Their weapons were box cutters. I know it seems hard to believe now with all the added security measures now in place, but it was a different time. Checking the luggage wasn't done the same way. We had never had an attack this big in the US up to that time. These guys looked like they were going on a golf outing. Polo shirts, khakis, small carry-ons. They looked like anybody else.
Yeah, and my dad died because of them flying a plane into his building.
Carol walks into the room.
All right, Jesse, that's enough.
She puts the bag down and rushes to the sofa, sits, and begins to console Jesse.
I'll handle it from here, Harvey.
Carol,
No, don't say anything. Please, you need to leave.
I'm so sorry.
I said go. Get out! Now! And please, just stay away from us.
I understand how you feel. I really do. Don't you know how guilty I felt for 10 years?
Right now, all I care about is my son. Please go.
Harvey exit. Carol holds a crying Jesse as lights fade. Act 1, Scene 9, the Office of Coastal Security. A few days later, lights rise and Glenn is opening mail at his desk.
Crap, I thought I paid this bill. Jesse, you were so good at keeping track of all of this. Please come back.
He moves on to another envelope, opens it, starts reading the contents of a newspaper clipping.
This can't be true. Shit.
Hi, boss.
Harvey, come here, will you?
Sure. What's up?
Something interesting came in the mail today.
What is it?
Here, look at this.
Oh.
Oh? Oh? That's all you have to say is oh?
Well, what do you want me to say?
I think some explanation would be helpful.
An explanation. Okay. Here it is. In a nutshell. An enterprising reporter for our local paper decided to start asking around to find out who was on duty the morning of 9/11 at the Portland airport and let the terrorists get past the security check. Someone kindly gave him my phone number, so he called me. I told him my story, my feelings of shame, regret, remorse, and they published it, leaving out the part about my feelings, making it sound as if I were treating it as no big deal because I laughed once, out of nervousness. I became an instant sensation, the devil incarnate, which led to death threats, a broken windshield on my car, a break-in at my apartment. Basically, a scarlet letter was applied to my forehead. I lost my job, was unemployed for months. My family and the people who I thought were my friends wouldn't talk to me. No one wanted to hear my side of the story, nor did they care. I was the guy who let the terrorists into the country on 9/11. It took a good couple of years before I could even begin to stabilize my life. Even now, I still can't face September 11th when it rolls around each year. I still feel the same shame and guilt. This past 9/11, they reprinted the article from 10 years ago in the local paper, since it was a milestone anniversary. Lucky me, I got to see it rehashed all over again. Guess you didn't see it.
No, I don't read the paper. Why the hell didn't you tell me about this?
It's not the sort of thing somebody puts on their resume. And look at the way you're reacting.
I can't believe this.
And don't you think it's kind of ironic that someone who supposedly allowed the worst security breach in the country's history now works for a security company?
Shit, you think this is funny?
You sound like the reporter. No, Glenn, it's the saddest thing in the world. Something I will never live down. Something that is with me every single day. You know who sent this article.
No, who?
Think, man, think. It was Jesse. Or his mother.
You think that's why he left?
I know that's why he left. Because he told me. The day he quit, I went to his house.
You didn't tell me that either.
Why would I? You know, even 10 years later, I feel as if I've still got every set of eyes in the state of Maine. No, the whole country watching me, ready to throw me under the bus for anything that happens relating to terrorism. Oh, if only that security guy in Maine hadn't let those terrorists in, we wouldn't still be fighting these terrible wars and these innocent young people wouldn't keep getting killed in the Middle East. If only
Stop it. You gotta get out of here, Harvey. You're done here.
You too, Glenn? You think all of this is my fault? Look, Jesse's father died on 9/11. You know that. Now he blames me for it. It's not fair. I was just doing my job. But I've been blamed for everything else that followed. I've been doing my job here too, and I guess that was for nothing.
Stop. I don't really care right now. Would you just go?
Yeah, sure, I'll go.
Wait,
What?
I lost my oldest brother in Afghanistan 8 years ago. 23 years old. What a waste. He was one of those innocent young people who got killed in the Middle East.
I'm sorry for your loss. I really am. But damn it, it wasn't my fault. Really, Glenn, when does it stop?
He exits, leaving Glenn standing alone. After a pause, lights fade. End of Act 1. Act 2, Scene 1. Several months later, spotlight comes up on Harvey, who is standing in his kitchen. He is coughing heavily, taking swigs from a bottle of cough medicine, all evidence of a cold. There is a knock on the door. He goes to the door, opens, and his mother, Phyllis Goren, is standing there.
Hello? You came.
I'm your mother, and you asked me to come. Are you going to invite me in?
Yes, of course. Come in.
It's been a long time.
Yes, it has been a long time.
About 2.5 years.
2.5 years. Well, leave it to you to keep track.
It's what I do. Pardon me for saying this, but you look awful. Are you okay?
Am I okay? Well, I've had better periods in my life, but that seems to be way in the past. Just a bad cold I haven't been able to shake. And you? You don't have to say anything. You look great.
Thanks. I feel great.
Good. I'm glad you're well. Thanks for driving all the way up here.
Oh, it's not that far.
I appreciate it no matter what you say. Sit down. Would you like some coffee?
No, thank you. I've already loaded up at home. If I have any more, I'll start shaking.
Guess we don't want that, do we?
How long have you had that cough?
Over a week. Can't seem to get rid of it. I've been working outdoors quite a bit lately.
Have you been to the doctor? You don't want this turning into the flu or pneumonia.
No, I haven't gone to the doctor.
Why on earth not?
It's very simple, Mom. I can't afford it.
What? Don't you have insurance at that security company where you work?
Used to work.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
No, of course you didn't know. And by the way, when I was at the security company, the premiums were ridiculously high because we only had 2 employees. But at least I had the money to pay them. How do you think I maintain this glorious lifestyle?
Stop being so hard on yourself.
The fact is, I haven't had coverage since I left.
How long ago was that?
Almost 6 months.
Oh, Harvey, why didn't you call us sooner?
What could you have done about it?
Maybe your father could have put you on his restaurant policy.
Do you really think you would have done that for me? After another failure?
Coughs again, gets up, goes to counter, takes a swig from the bottle of cough syrup.
Cough syrup. Sorry, not very attractive.
Don't worry about such things. How did you lose your job? Was it a layoff?
It was the same old reason.
Not the 9/11 issue.
Yes.
After all this time?
It never goes away. And I guess it never will.
Small-minded people.
This was different. Or so I thought.
How so?
It's a long story that I don't want to relive right now. Let's just say that once again my past has caught up with me. Anyway, I lost a job and a budding friendship with a nice woman from New Jersey who coincidentally lost her husband on 9/11. What are the odds?
My God.
It's awful. After all this time, to keep hearing people say that I let the terrorists into the country.
Calm down. Just calm down.
I can't calm down. I've been living with this guilt for more than 10 years. When's it going to stop? I was just doing my job. I made one mistake. One very big mistake. When's it going to stop?
Takes Harvey's face in her hands.
Listen to me, sweetheart. I've told you this before. You did what you thought was right that day. And there was no way you could have known that these animals were going to do that day. They were willing to die for their cause. There was no way to stop someone who feels like it's an honor to die by crashing a plane or blowing themselves up to be a martyr. We didn't understand that about these terrorists, and we're still paying for it for so many years. It's so much more complicated than the fact that you let those people pass a security check.
I know that. They had box cutters, Mom. That was their weapon of mass destruction. Box cutters.
I know.
I also know that Dad thinks I let the whole country down.
No, that isn't true.
Sure, it's true. Don't defend him.
That's not fair, Harvey.
Maybe not. But he's never been behind anything I've tried to do with my education, my career, you name it. He wouldn't hire me at his own restaurant, his family's restaurant, because he said I'm not ambitious, that I don't work hard enough. Nothing could be further from the truth. I'm just not the macho son he always wanted.
I'm sorry you feel that way. You know, he's nearly 80 years old,
I can't do anything about that.
and he's slowing down, and not the least bit happy about it.
I can't do anything about that either.
I'm not asking you to do anything about it. But as hard as it may be for you to believe, he does miss you.
You're right. I don't believe it.
He can be a stubborn old fool at times. But I wish you would come down to see him, especially now. Frankly, I'm a little worried about him.
Well, I haven't got much else on my plate right now. I'm running out of money. I've been getting by doing odd jobs for people in town who either don't know about my past or they've somehow forgiven me for my sins. Who knows? I probably should have left the area long ago. But you know what? I still love it here. The ocean, the serenity of being here in the winter when all the tourists are gone.
That's why we've stayed too. We are Maine people through and through. We couldn't be happy anywhere else.
I've become a loner, Mom. I'm resigned to being alone. That seems to be my fate.
I would love to see you embrace life again.
Again? I'm not sure I ever embraced life.
It's not too late. At least come down and visit your father. I think you'd be surprised at how much he's missed you.
I don't know. I should find a job first. Then maybe he'd be a little less judgmental.
That's up to you. But would you think about seeing him? Do it for me.
I'll think about it.
He gets up, walks to Phyllis, and hugs her.
I promise. If I don't die first.
Nonsense.
She gets up, grabs her purse, opens it, rummages around, pulls out a checkbook.
I'm giving you some money.
She starts writing a check.
I was going to ask, but
Rips the check from her checkbook, hands it to Harvey.
It's no time to worry about pride. You need to go to the doctor. Here, take this. And go to the doctor. Go on, take it.
thank you. I'll make an appointment this afternoon after you leave. And I'll pay you back.
You don't have to pay me back. And I'm taking you to lunch. I think you need some hot soup for that cough.
I know a place in town where we can hide in a corner.
Really, dear? Is it necessary to hide in a corner?
I wish I could say otherwise.
All right, then. We'll go hide in a corner. Come on, let's go.
Thanks for coming, Mom. I feel a little better.
It's a start. We never should have been apart this long.
They exit as lights fade. Act 2, Scene 2. A few weeks later, Harvey's kitchen. As lights rise, Harvey is at his kitchen table looking at his laptop.
We received over 100 resumes for the position, more than we ever would have expected. Yeah, right. And although your resume was attractive, we've decided to go in another direction. Best of luck to you in your job search. Blah, blah, blah. What bullshit!
He forcefully closes his laptop, jumps up from chair, walks off stage to an unseen room, returns after a moment with a handgun. He looks at it for a long time and starts to put it to his head when the phone rings, startling him, causing him to suddenly throw the gun away from himself.
No, you can't let them win.
He heads quickly to the phone, answers it.
Hello?
Harvey, it's your mother. How are you feeling?
I'm much better. It took about 3 weeks, but the cold's gone. Antibiotics. Now you sound funny. Is something wrong?
Yes, there is. Your father's had a heart attack.
Why didn't you say that right away? Is it bad?
All heart attacks are bad.
All right, stupid question. Just tell me how he is.
You genuinely sound concerned.
I am concerned. He's still my father. Wow, a heart attack. I don't wish anything bad for him. He's a tough old bird. You didn't answer my question.
He's conscious and cranky.
Sounds about right. Do you need me to come down there?
I'd appreciate it.
Sure, I can come down today if you need me. I'm not doing anything else.
He's in York Hospital, room 302. He just got moved from the ICU.
I'll be there as soon as I can. Bye. Just what I needed.
Lights fade. Act 2, Scene 3. A hospital room with typical institutional look. A bed, chair for guests, fluorescent light over the bed. John Goren is in the bed with tubes attached to him and a blood pressure machine nearby. As lights rise, John is lying in the bed, propped up with pillows and a light blanket. Phyllis is also seated on the lower part of the bed. John's feet are resting on Phyllis's lap and she is rubbing them.
How's that? Feel better?
I can't complain.
Oh, yes, you can. I've heard you do it quite regularly for over 40 years.
I'm changing my answer. My feet feel better. The rest of me feels like hell.
Now that's the John Goren I know. I was going to get some tea in the cafeteria. Would you like some?
No, thank you. The tea is like the rest of the food here. It won't have any taste.
It's just tea. It's not supposed to have a lot of taste.
I'll pass. I still feel weak and I don't have much of an appetite.
Well, of course. You just had a serious heart attack.
This was a big one. I thought I was done.
Your doctor said you're lucky to be alive. And now he wants you to move around more, even if it's a little uncomfortable. I can get your walker for you.
No walkers. If I can't walk unassisted, I'm not walking.
You're not there yet. Who's going to see you but me?
It doesn't matter.
Wait a second. You don't want Harvey to see you in a weakened condition when he gets here.
I mean nothing of the kind.
Dear, I know you like the back of my hand. You need to look like King Lear when the prince arrives.
You are not helping.
Look, I understand that you two have had your differences, but how can I put this? Tempus fugit. Time flies. And we're at a point in our lives where we need to forgive and forget.
We? Don't you mean me?
Yes. I'm sorry to bring this up, but Harvey's going through a terrible time. There should be some sort of statute of limitations for people to stop bringing up old wounds.
Maybe so. Hindsight is 2020.
How do you feel about his coming today?
I'm a bit conflicted. I feel he may be coming just to get back in our good graces or for the money.
Oh, John, for God's sakes. I told you I'd given him money.
Entirely your decision.
Because I don't want him to become homeless. And he didn't want to take it. I had to practically force the check into his hand.
But he eventually took it.
Yes.
Uh-huh. As I figured he would. You say he's doing odd jobs?
Yes, and he's barely scraping by. I was hoping that you would talk to him about coming back to the restaurant, especially now. Since you show no signs of retiring and you're recovering from a heart attack, you're going to need some help. And he needs a job.
Don't you think I've thought about this? The boy is not capable of focusing. Don't you remember how he handled the last opportunity I gave him at the restaurant?
That was years ago. And he's no longer the boy. He is a middle-aged man who is struggling and needs our support.
Is that my fault?
It's not his either. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. Sometimes you just don't make any sense. I'm getting my tea.
Wait! You're as stubborn as I am, woman.
He tries to raise himself to a standing position. As he gets close to standing, his legs get wobbly and he falls back onto the bed.
Can't do it yet, old man.
He returns to his lying down position.
Look who I found roaming the hallways.
Hi, Dad. I made it. From Mom's voice, I have to say I expected worse.
I may have overdone it a bit.
Are you disappointed?
John, that was not necessary.
Dad, I know you like pushing my buttons, but I'm not going to let anything you say get to me. I've been through too much over the past year. So when did this happen? Were you at work?
A few days ago, I went out at 6 a.m. like I've done for years to do my daily food shop for the restaurant. By about 7, I was back and bringing in a box of vegetables.
I've been telling him for years to get one of those young guys to help him carry the boxes in, but no.
Despite what your mother thinks, I can still lift a box of vegetables, even most of the heavy boxes. Anyway, I suddenly felt the sharp pain in my left arm, and from what they tell me, I passed out.
One of those young guys called 911 right away, thank God, and then called me. They got him to the emergency room very quickly, and that likely saved his life.
Oh, wow.
Ruined a perfectly ripe batch of tomatoes when I fell on them.
Really, John? Tomatoes can be replaced. It was a serious heart attack. He shouldn't even be working anymore.
You have been trying to get me retired for 10 years. What would I do with myself?
I would like to travel to places we've never been to before they put us in our graves. You've spent your whole life running that restaurant.
Has that been so bad? Have we ever wanted for anything?
You're missing the point. You're going to turn 80 soon, and I'm not far behind. We don't have a lot of time left, and now you've had this very upsetting heart event. If not now, when? Harvey, what do you think?
Does it matter what I think?
It does to me.
Yes, it does matter what you think.
Thank you.
All right. Dad, I know how much the restaurant means to you.
Quite right.
You've put 40-something years into it and made it into, well, I guess you'd call it a local landmark.
Yes.
But you are, sorry to keep bringing it up, almost 80. And you seem to have no plan for someone to take over for you when you can no longer run the place.
It's difficult to find someone with the amount of passion I've had for my restaurant.
Fair enough. But once you stop having any input, you either need to have someone from your staff who can take over, bring in someone with experience, or sell the business.
I'd like the place to keep going even after I'm, gone.
Well, that's just it. How are you going to do that?
You, Harvey, you're going to do it.
John, you surprised me.
Did I not say that I was thinking about it?
Yes, but
How exactly am I going to do it? You've kicked me out of the business on more than one occasion.
Son, I know I've been hard on you at times.
At times? How about all the time?
I did it to toughen you up, to prepare you to take care of yourself.
And look at the wonderful job I've done with that.
Shit happens, Harvey. What happened years ago shouldn't define your whole life.
And yet it has.
people can be so very cruel and unforgiving.
Even your own family.
Phyllis gets off the bed, walks over to Harvey, and slaps him across his face.
I'm sorry, Mom. I shouldn't have said that.
But you're right,
John, you don't have to.
No, Phyllis, Harvey is right. I've held on to my anger and frustration far too long, and I'm an old man and need to make sure before I die that my son knows that I care about him.
He knows, John. Surely you know, Harvey.
I think the jury's still out on that one, Mom.
Harvey, please come and work for me.
For you?
With me.
I've got to think it over.
What's the thing over? You need a job and I have one for you. A job you can have for as long as you want. I'll teach you whatever you need to know.
Just like that. A few quick lessons and you'll take over again.
It's not going to be like that. I promise.
Give it a chance, Harvey. You need this.
I don't know if I need this.
Lights fade. Act 2, Scene 4. It is now midsummer. Lights rise on the rear of John's restaurant. Windows, a screen door, and a small deck comprise the back area with trash cans nearby. Sounds of diners chatting and dishes clanging emanate from the restaurant. After a pause, Harvey enters through the screen door, letting the door slam shut. He is wearing a stained chef's apron over his clothes and looks weary from a long day. He walks a few steps and leans against the back of the restaurant, taking a cigarette and matchbook from his apron pocket, and is just about to light it when John appears through the same door.
That stuff will kill you, you know.
I know.
He lights the cigarette anyhow.
I only smoke a few a day.
It's still too much. I always wanted you to follow my footsteps, but that didn't include inheriting all my health issues.
Takes one long drag on the cigarette. He then crushes it under his foot.
The crazy thing is, I don't even like cigarettes. It's just something to do during the slow moments.
Slow moments? We haven't had too many of them this year.
I know. This place is a gold mine. You should have a mansion on a hill by now.
It costs more than you think to run a restaurant. Well, you know that now that you've been here for a while.
Almost 3 months. Who'd have thought it was possible?
Everyone deserves a second chance.
Who are you? I wish I'd known you thought of that a few thousand years back, before I went through the 9/11 disaster.
You really need to stop beating yourself up for that.
You know, I'd gotten to the point where I could do that, but shit keeps happening. It hits me every year on 9/11, like a bad strain of the flu or something. Believe me, I know what it did to the country, but you didn't help, you know.
You and your mother think I acted horribly towards you. I certainly didn't blame you for the terrorist attack.
You are rewriting history.
What do you mean?
You did blame me for the attack.
What?
No, wait. You said to me, how could you let those bastards into the country? You said it. I'll never forget it.
I was angry that our whole way of life could be attacked in such a devastating way.
And you took it out on me. Everybody is taking it out on me. What was I supposed to do? I was alone that day, and no one could have known what these guys were up to.
I just didn't want it to ruin your life. In my bumbling way, I was trying to motivate you because you weren't living up to your potential. You are a smart, capable person. The last few months that you've helped me here with some of your ideas, well, you've made my life easier and we're doing better than ever. I'm exhausted, but you know what? I haven't been this happy in a long time.
I only wanted to feel useful again. I've had very few chances lately to feel useful.
I'm sorry if I made you feel, I don't know, unloved, unwanted.
Dad, I understand that you wanted to toughen me up, to toss me out of the nest, so to speak. I get it. But everything changed after 9/11, and I never felt comfortable being around you. I'm sorry if it hurt you.
It hurt your mother more than it hurt me.
Yes, tough old bird that you are.
I guess I just thought that my kick-ass attitude would, how can I put it?
Make a man out of me?
Yeah. I guess that's as good a way of putting it as any.
That's kind of what I thought.
Look, Harvey, I'm an old man and I've made mistakes.
Right, on both counts.
But I'm sorry if you had a rough time, and I'm also sorry if I contributed to that.
I'm trying hard to let the past go, but it keeps coming back to bite me in the ass. I'm sick of running away from it.
You just got to do it. Look forward, not backward. I wish I had more time. You do. You got to use it more wisely.
It's easier said than done.
Son, you're never going to move on unless you truly try to move on.
You're right. I hate to admit it, but you're right.
Well, I guess there's nothing more to say.
Probably not.
Well, let's go in and finish up. It's getting near closing time.
You go. I'll be in a minute.
All right, son. You okay?
Yeah, Dad, I'm good.
It'll all work out.
I suppose. I wish I shared your optimism, Dad. The fact is, Dad, I'm miserable here. You're still doing the same things, acting like a 5-star general in the middle of battle. You just can't give up that control thing. Even when you say something nice to me or one of the other staff people, it's tinged with an edge. It never feels like an actual compliment. But I've run out of options. I've got to put up with your shit for as long as I can or die trying. Guess what? September 11th is right around the corner again.
He shakes his head as he exits. Lights fade. Act 2, Scene 5. It is now September 11th, 2012. Harvey is at lower stage right, outdoors, looking over the local newspaper. He sees something in the paper that obviously upsets him.
Seriously? They're bringing this shit up again after 11 years? This isn't another milestone anniversary and I'm in another fucking September 11th article. Is it ever going to end?
He walks across the stage, and as he reaches stage left, he is met by a reporter, Dale Cox, who is outdoors at the entrance to the local newspaper building.
Dale Cox?
Yes, Mr. Goren. I suppose you came to see me about the article in today's paper.
You supposed right.
I always expected you'd contact me at some point, especially last year, the 10th anniversary. But you haven't. Why now?
I'm tired of being your newspaper's scapegoat.
I've only written the 9/11 articles for the past 2 years.
Don't you or your editor think enough time has passed that I no longer need to be mentioned in these articles?
Mr. Goren, I don't have to tell you what a terrible day that was for the country. We need to honor the memories of all those poor people who died that day.
Yeah, well, I get that. But honestly, I don't understand why you consistently bring up my name as if I were a co-conspirator. I didn't cause this event to happen.
And yet, I would argue that you were a key figure.
No one, not even our top government officials, knew or suspected that anyone could plan such a terrible thing and execute it in such a maliciously perfect way. How was I expected to know what these guys were going to do?
Listen, I want you to know that when I read the original interview, I had a great deal of sympathy for you. Being in that situation, well, I can only imagine how awful you must have been feeling. But your answers to our reporter's questions were almost cavalier.
Cavalier?
It seemed like you were trying to do your best to make it seem that your failure, for lack of a better word, was no big deal.
I don't know how you got that impression. I was a mess.
You didn't come across as a mess.
Well, maybe that was your reporter's fault.
Maybe. But you laughed.
The laugh.
Once you laughed, well, you lost to me. It felt as if you had no idea of the magnitude of the situation.
Oh, I knew exactly what the magnitude of the situation was. What you and probably the original reporter didn't know was that I was this very scared, very vulnerable young man, new at his job, who needed that job badly and was afraid to lose it.
You must have had some training. What to look for that could be used as a weapon.
You tell me how you would have figured out something that no one else could have figured out. That these guys had hidden box cutters on their bodies in a place we'd never look. And this was before the days of x-rays and frisking and, yes, racial profiling. And a reporter grilling me as if I had just personally murdered 3,000 people, trying to write a sensational story to sell newspapers. I was nervous, and I laughed. I even apologized for laughing and said to him that I sometimes laugh when I'm nervous. He conveniently left that bit of information out of his article. You all needed a scapegoat, and you found one in me. And I've been paying for it for 11 years and counting. Did you get what you wanted out of that article?
I stand by what I wrote.
You don't know what it's like every year. For 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after 9/11, I can't get to sleep at night. I feel, no, I know that everyone in town is going to be making remarks behind my back or pointing to me as I walk down the street. No one knows what that feels like. I keep thinking time will make it go away, and then it pops up all over again.
I'm as surprised as you, Mr. Goren, that this story still provokes anger. It was a story that had to be told.
I'm no expert at journalism, but I know that there are two sides to every story, and I've never had a chance to fully tell my side of the story. Didn't they teach you that in journalism school?
Mr. Goren, I could write a follow-up story, but what could you say that would change perceptions around here?
I don't know. Maybe ask for forgiveness or some understanding that it was a different, more innocent time, and that no one could have stopped these very determined people from upending the lives of so many Americans. Or explain why I laughed, or that I was as heartbroken as anyone else was that day.
I would have to discuss this with my editor.
I know your editor. Will he let you write an article like that? Would it sell papers? Isn't that what it's all about?
That's a bit cynical, don't you think?
If you had been through what I've been through, you might be a bit cynical too.
Let me see what I can do.
I'm not so sure I believe you.
I'm going to try. That's all I can promise.
That's all I can hope for. Thank you. There's just one more person I need to see.
He reaches into his pocket, pulls out his cell phone, searches for a number, dials.
Oh, hi. I'm glad you picked up. It's Harvey Goren. Yes, I suppose caller ID did give me away. Please don't hang up. I know it's been a long time. No, I kept your phone number in my cell phone. I don't know why, I just did. Maybe I thought one day I'd get a chance to talk to you again. Look, I was wondering if we could just meet, get coffee or something and just talk. Why should you? That's a very good question. I would just like to have a chance to explain a few things. I've gone through a rough period and things are starting to go a little more haywire than usual. It won't take long, I promise. You will? Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. How about Sunday afternoon at the coffee shop we used to go to around 1 o'clock? I don't have to be at work until about 4. Yes, I'm working. I'll tell you all about it when I see you. Okay then, it's settled. I'll see you on Sunday. Bye, Carol.
He finishes the call, puts the phone into his pocket, turns and exits as lights fade. Act 2, Scene 6. The following Sunday, lights rise in the cafe diner where Harvey and Carol had coffee in Act 1. Harvey is waiting for Carol to arrive. After a moment, she does.
Hello, Carol. Thank you for coming.
Hello, Harvey.
You're looking well. I hope everything's okay with you and Jesse.
We're okay. We just got through, another anniversary.
Don't I know it? Shall we go in?
I'm not staying. In fact, I shouldn't have come.
What? Why not?
I'm sorry. I know this sounds terrible, but I can't be around you. I can't. It would remind me of what happened.
But it wasn't.
Stop. I know what you're going to say. That you were not to blame for what happened. And you know what? I agree. You didn't know what was going to happen. Nobody knew. But if I reinstate our friendship, then every time I look at you, I'll think about that day. That goddamn day. And I really need to move on from that day. Jesse, too. I thought moving here, 300 miles from New York, would help. But it hasn't. I should have realized how close we were moving to the airport where it all unfolded. I wasn't thinking. I decided for Jesse's sake and mine that we're going to sell the house and move to a place where there's less of a chance of reminders of that day. I don't know yet where that place will be.
Well, I guess there's nothing more to say.
He turns to leave, turns back to look at Carol, but says nothing and exits. Carol starts crying and exits in the opposite direction as lights fade. Act 2, Scene 7. A hallway in the building where the local newspaper is published. Dale Cox enters with papers in hand. As she approaches center stage, an agitated Harvey enters from a different direction and walks up to Dale.
Mr. Goren, here you are again.
You know why I'm here.
Yes, I suppose so. Look, I tried to get my editor to go along with the story idea you proposed, but he rejected it.
I'm not surprised. And why exactly did he reject it?
I started to tell you when I called you, but you hung up on me.
Such bad manners on my part.
You seemed quite agitated.
Oh, I was agitated. And I'd still like to hear the editor's explanation.
Well, to put it simply, he thought neither he nor the newspaper were in a position to decide on your guilt or innocence.
I didn't commit a criminal act. So why are we even talking guilt or innocence?
I guess in the court of public opinion, you were guilty.
Damn right about that. For 11 years. Don't I get a shot at parole?
It's not up to me, sir. Don't shoot the messenger.
Funny you should use those words.
He takes out his gun from his jacket pocket.
Maybe I should shoot the messenger.
We have lots of security here. You won't get away with shooting me.
Maybe I don't want to get away.
Please stop this. I have a husband and a 3-year-old.
And I have nothing. You've taken away my life. How does this feel? The idea of having your life taken away.
I don't want to die.
I'm not going to shoot you. But you're not going to get off easy. I want you to feel the guilt of watching someone in their life.
Points gun at his own head.
Let's see how you handle it. Let's see if you can sleep at night. Let's see if you can face your little child.
Please don't do anything foolish.
I already made my one foolish mistake.
Laughs, then blackout. Gunshot is heard. A few days later, lights rise. Dale and Phyllis meet in the hallway where Harvey shot himself. Phyllis is clutching her purse firmly with both hands.
Mrs. Goren, I'm Dale Cox. I am so sorry for your loss.
Save it, Miss Cox. I'm not going to take up much of your time. I wanted to see the person who's tearing down my son's reputation. And now I have. You should be ashamed for what you did.
I suppose you have heard of the First Amendment, freedom of the press.
You and your paper harassed my son for 11 years. Didn't he have rights too?
I'm not going to get into this kind of conversation with you.
You are a coward. You never gave my son the opportunity to speak for himself.
We gave him the opportunity years ago, and he blew it. He laughed. I want to say, Mrs. Goren, I had no idea that your son was capable of killing himself.
Obviously, the constant reminder of the 9/11 tragedy took its toll. You say you didn't think my son was capable of killing himself? How is that any different from his not thinking that those guys, who looked like anybody else in polo shirts and khakis, were capable of flying planes into towers?
I have no answer.
As I expected.
Mrs. Goren, I was just doing my job.
So was my son. But while your newspaper was winning journalism awards for its 9/11 coverage, my son suffered through years of torment and guilt. I wish he had fought harder to clear his name.
Please wait, Mrs. Goren. I just moved to the area a couple years ago. My editor asked me to revive the story for our 10th anniversary coverage. I found your son's explanation was credible. You have to believe me, but the die had been cast. I'm a small fish in a small pond, and I couldn't defy my editor. He didn't want me to be sympathetic towards Harvey in any way. So I wrote those articles. I don't know if I can change people's perception after so much time has passed.
No one ever tried. Not even Harvey.
I don't know anything about your son. Would you please help me to get to know him, and then I'll do my best to write something more forgiving.
It's a little late for that.
Lights fade. Act 2, Scene 8. A security checkpoint, Portland Airport, September 11th, 2001. Harvey is just beginning a shift and is reviewing a checklist.
Okay. Check, check, check. Everything's in order. It's a pretty quiet day so far.
After a moment, two young men dressed in business casual garb, polo shirts, khakis, come to the checkpoint. They put their backpacks down, where Harvey takes a quick look and lets the men pass through. Right behind, an old man with a large piece of luggage comes along. He struggles to lift the bag, so Harvey walks out from behind the checkpoint to help. At this point, the two men pull box cutters out of a small pocket of their backpacks and quickly put them in their pockets, then exit. Harvey looks at the old man's luggage, sees nothing unusual, puts the bag on the ground, and the old man exits. After a pause, he walks over to look out a window.
Couldn't ask for a more perfect day. I've never seen such a clear blue sky.
He returns to his position at the checkpoint, stands alone, arms folded, smiling as lights fade. End of
And that's the play. Okay, well, we are going to start the talk back here in just a couple minutes. But first, we want to just say that Place Development is funded through our sponsors, but we always put out a collection jar at the theater when we do this. And obviously this year we cannot do that. So we just want to give you a small opportunity, if you're willing and able, to make a donation to the theater, not only to keep us going while we have our doors closed, but to help keep a project like Plays and Development going. You can do so at the link that just showed up on your screen. Plays and Development is a project where we commission scripts from all over the world. Last year we had just under 300 of them. And our play selection committee goes through and looks at scripts, and we try to pick ones that have great characters, great story, but still have areas that we think can be improved. These are often plays that we may not even consider for our regular season, but are plays that we really want to delve into. So what happens is once those plays are selected, we work for 10 days with the playwright. Often in normal years, those playwrights fly into Jonesville and do a workshop here at the SAWC, where we work with the playwright, a director, and the cast, and the playwrights are encouraged to make changes and improvements to their play throughout the process. So, as we wait here for our playwright to log on, I want to introduce the director of tonight's play. From her house in Jonesville, here's Jennifer Wagler. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi. Hey, Ben.
We've got, Bruce isn't quite here yet, so let's explain to the audience how to participate in this. So, if you're watching on YouTube, next to us, I don't know what side it is on YouTube, but there's a chat feature. Anything you type into that chat feature will show up on my screen here in my office, and I can post those questions for Jennifer and Bruce when he gets here to answer for you. If you are watching on the website or on the Facebook page, all you have to do is click the window where the viewing is happening, and it'll take you right back to YouTube where you can participate. And we just got our first couple of questions coming in, and the man of the hour has just logged on. Everybody here live from Florida. Questions for Jennifer and Bruce when he gets here. Hi, Bruce.
I'm here.
Answer for you. So, Bruce, you're just going to have to turn down your computer a little bit. Or on the Facebook page, all you have to do is myself and go where the viewing is happening, and it'll take you right back. We'll let Bruce get that solved. And the other thing we've been doing, Bruce, you just have to turn off one of the devices or turn down your volume. Really quickly, one thing that was asked the first week is where all of our actors are performing from. And obviously they're performing from their houses, but we're sort of all over the county. So we'll bring them in. Pat, where are you at?
Tecumseh, Michigan.
So Pat's in Tecumseh. Spenser.
Hillsdale.
Spenser's in Hillsdale.
Hudson, Michigan.
North Adams, Michigan.
See, we're all over the county. Let's get the other ones in here. Just one second.
Jonesville, Michigan.
Tiffany.
Homer.
And the Pratts.
Jackson. Oh, I thought we were saying it at the same time. Jackson.
All right. We're going to check back in here and get Bruce back on here. I think the echo's gone.
Yep.
Yay! All right.
I think I still had the other screen open, so I shut that. Can't rely on me for technology. So.
Well, Bruce, the first question that came in actually is a question we ask every week, which is, would you say how you were inspired to write the play?
Yes. I used to live in, we still live part of the year up in New Jersey, and I was actually in New Jersey on 9/11, and where I lived was, I don't know, like 12 or 15 miles from the Twin Towers, but I had a view of that part of the New York skyline from my apartment. And so I was home that day for a family funeral, which always seemed odd on my HR record because it said death in family, but it had nothing to do with 9/11, which is kind of, kind of a strange side note, I guess. Anyway, we were walking in Manhattan in Greenwich Village, where you used to be able to see the Twin Towers from 7th Avenue. And those of you who may know New York, know that was the case. And this was years later when there were no towers anymore. And I don't know how, but it just struck me that there must have been a person who allowed people through the security desk at the airport that led to them getting on the planes and crashing them into the towers. So not long after, I Googled something like, security breach at 9/11, on 9/11, that sort of thing. And I found an article. It really was an article. And I actually am, now that I've found it again, I'm going to send it to you, Trinity, just so you can see it. It was from 2016. There was a person, and I said it in Maine, but because I had also heard that people had come through Canada through the Portland airport. But this particular article was about a security person at Dulles Airport, where one of the other planes took off and crashed into the Pentagon. And the person they spotlighted in that article basically had the same issues that Harvey has in the play. So I fictionalized a lot of things, obviously, but the idea of the man carrying the guilt around for so many years was a real thing. And that's how I was inspired.
Well, we'll start going through some of the comments, but we're going to pull up Megan and Tiffany because woohoo, Tiffany.
Woohoo, everybody.
Yeah. Yep.
Tiffany's got fans. Megan's got everyone did a great job, but Megan was the best. Sorry, I'm biased for my lifelong friend. Noah asked, what happened to the man or woman? Are they still alive, or were there any articles about them?
Okay, well, I think I explained that. As far as I know, he's still alive. The article was only from 2016, and at that point, he said he had been carrying around the guilt for 15 years. So, whether he ever was able to get past that, I do not know. That's an interesting question.
Yeah. Megan's fan club continues. Great. Love the play, Megan. Wonderful job. Julie Pratt says, "Great job, everyone." Let's bring on the Pratts.
Also not biased at all.
She is.
Yeah, me either. No relation.
I find myself feeling really badly for Harvey. Interesting to think about how people place blame in these circumstances. Agreed. Megan, as the mother, truly broke my heart. Felt a lot of the angst and worry for her child. Anne said, "Stunningly emotional." Wow. Good. Oh, we got to get Spenser on here. He's got a fan club. Spenser did a great job at playing a very difficult and emotional role, especially considering the topic.
Agreed.
So, thank you for all of the wonderful, nice things people are saying. But does anyone have questions of the actors?
I thought you were going to ask the not nice things, which.
No, we're not. No, certainly not that. But
all right, good.
A very important part of this process is that not only does Bruce get info and feedback from Jennifer and the cast, but also those of you watching, which of course in the theater we would pull you all down front and we'd have a fun little discussion. So this is our fun little discussion. If I can get Spenser's compliment off of there. And cast, you as well, those of you who are on screen and off, you have questions of Bruce that you've come up with. Here comes one. I know how hard Bruce works on his writing and want to say bravo to him and everyone.
Thank you, Ariana. We have a writers group in Florida here, and Ariana put that group together. And honestly, since I've been part of that, we give each other a great deal of feedback. Our group of usually about 6 people, and it's really helped me with my writing. And we're going to keep at it, especially. And we've been doing these types of meetings on Zoom since March, and it helps very, very much. So, and I see Marge, who is also in our group. Thank you, Marge.
What's been really interesting about doing these shows online is being able to have an audience outside of our normal audience.
Yeah.
And having the playwrights, friends and family, and cast members, friends and family who would never, ever be able to get to Jonesville to watch. So that's been a surprising, wonderful benefit of this, to be quite honest, I think.
Are you going to do your regular season this way now that everything is a bit haywire, or you haven't decided yet?
We have not decided yet.
Okay.
Is all I will publicly say at this time.
Fair enough. I see Ed Asner is coming. He just did a play down here in Florida where he played a Holocaust survivor. That was a reading. It was a reading at the Parker Playhouse, and it was quite good. I mean, he's 90 years old. I'm really impressed that he's out there doing this stuff at 90.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I hope that you get to do that show.
We do too. He was supposed to come back in April. We're hoping that he. One of our board members said the boy child, meaning his son, wants to know if TSA people really got harassed like that. And as Bruce said, he got the story from hearing about that. Yes.
Yes. Well, yes, he was. I don't know if the term is harassed, but it was certainly. Well, in the article, he said people just kind of stopped looking at him in the eye because they didn't know what to say to him. And so, that was its own form of harassment, I suppose, or just not really knowing. I mean, I can't even imagine what he was feeling when he realized what happened, even the next day, and to still be carrying it around 15 years later is obviously he's obviously still not able to handle it too well. So. And neither is anybody else who knew him at the time, I guess.
Right. Let's put down some actors here. We'll get Trevor up on the screen. This is a question for Jennifer. Jennifer, as a director, how do you go about having your actors to emote better, where this is outside the norm of traditional acting?
Well, That's a very good question. So as this was all just sort of an experiment for us and we're learning as we go, I've never directed people in a tiny little box. So I find that some people are more naturally expressive with their face and maybe their hands right up here a little bit. I think each actor is individual, and you have to just. It's like having children, whether they're on screen or on the stage, right? Each one is different. They respond to different sorts of direction, and then you help them get where they need to go by reminding them of the limitations, maybe of say this format, where you say, hey, let's act to the camera and not try to look at one another, say like this, or let's remember what lighting we have so that we can see your face and look at your eyes very nicely. So it was, for all of us, it was an experiment, but I think it turned out beautifully, and thanks to a fabulous script.
Oh, thanks. Well, we had conversations about the emoting and everything, and you obviously got through to everyone because they did really well tonight.
We had a fantastic group, fantastic actors. Can't beat that.
And it's something different for the audiences too, obviously, because if you are a theater goer, you clearly know the difference between watching something in this way versus being in a theater. Even when you watch like on PBS, and last night they had 42nd Street on, just side story there, and that was a fantastic production. But even seeing the way they filmed it, and it really was a spectacular, fancy. There were 600 costumes, and all kinds of money was spent on this London version. There still was something missing about being in the theater and taking in, soaking in the audience reaction and things like that. So it's something everybody has to get used to, the performers, the audience, but it's fun. At least you get to see things, and those of us who really love going to the theater and can't, this is dessert.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting approach. Next week's playwright, Sarah Gray, has a question for you. Can you give your thoughts for why Harvey had such a complicated relationship with his parents?
Well, I think it was true that he had a very tough father who had a lot of expectations for his son. And, possibly even before 9/11, that was a problem, and 9/11 didn't help. Being a military type guy, a tough guy, he had these high expectations for Harvey. And his mother, as we kind of concluded in our own discussions amongst ourselves, his mother was from an era where she basically stuck by her husband and defended her husband, and so that separated her in many ways from Harvey as well.
And Bruce, I wonder too if his family history informed how he reacted to this tragedy in his life, long term.
Yeah, feeling inadequacy, maybe my father was right, maybe I am nothing because I couldn't figure this out, even though there was no way I could have figured it out.
Yes.
So, I think that's a reasonable explanation for it going on so long and not being able to pick up and just move on with his life. And maybe for the real life guy as well. I don't know. I don't know enough about the real life guy to
certainly
confirm that, but so I hope that answers the question.
All right, those of you watching, we'll take a few more questions. cast. I told the cast to get asked questions. I'm not looking at any of you to see if any of you have questions. I'm looking.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bruce, how was it working with all of us in this medium and in this technological world we're in right now?
I loved it. I think you worked your way through every little, glitch and problem, and by the time the show went on, it went very smoothly. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think you're so brave to have this creative work that you've made and then just let us all work on it together. I find that to be one of the bravest things I've ever seen. I don't think
I was so excited to find out that it was happening that
Nice.
I'm going to go along with whatever you guys felt was right for the show. So, I appreciate all that you did to make it happen.
I'm going to bring Tiffany on because she's got a question.
Okay.
Let me swap out here. There she is. Tiffany, ask your question.
Bruce, where do you think Dale and Phyllis are in the future? Do you think Dale wrote a story that redeemed Harvey?
That's a very good question. I think I would hope that she would at least try, since she's kind of the new girl in town. And, we don't really bring the editor in. I thought about making the editor another character, one draft of this, but I just thought that would bog things down. But I do have the feeling that Dale would try to inch her way in with the editor and maybe try to find out more information, and maybe by the time the next 9/11 came around, she was able to do something. I mean, I'd kind of like to think that that's what happened. I'm not so sure that Phyllis would have been around to appreciate it. Dale might have had to, send her the article under the table, so to speak, and just so the editor wouldn't find out. Well, I mean, the editor would obviously find out, so that's not really relevant. But yeah, I do think that she would have tried.
Sure. And I think it's interesting. I would say that the character who's probably changed the most over the last 10 days is Dale. I just wondered if you had any thoughts on the progression of that character through this process. Not only was Dale originally a male character, but sort of her story has changed a little bit.
Yeah, she, I didn't really realize it when I was writing the play, and by reading it, she did come through as a villain, and many of you pointed that out. That somehow, because of in the original version, Dale is the original, or David Cox, it became Dale. It really doesn't matter if it was a male or female, but it just started out as a male. In the original, Dale's character had written the article 11 years ago, but it seemed that it was easier to make her less of a villain by saying that she just came into the area and, she was just doing what she was told, and she had some sympathy and empathy for Harvey's situation. So I set about to make her more of a forgiving and forgivable character.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we've got a couple more questions showing up. Mandy says, first of all, hugs to you all. Mandy's one of our regulars here. How has working on this piece influenced your relationship with your own children / parents?
Well, many of you were in the play together, so that seemed okay.
We should bring up Jennifer's son. There you go. Do you want to answer that?
Mine had me screaming at my kids to be quiet and get off the Wi-Fi. So
I think this show is very. It's a very. It makes people think about little things like that, about how you treat others around you, your children and your parents, and I think it's great.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate that. We worked on lots of shows together, Trevor and I. This is a different experience for sure, but just a little deepening of that relationship. We like to talk after or at some point about, what's happening and what are the deeper meanings, and it's pretty fabulous. We enjoy working together.
Ray, did you want to say something?
I was just hoping that my relationship with Brennan wasn't the same as John and Harvey. So.
Well, I hope it isn't too.
It's not. Can disprove, not confirm. It is not.
Well, that's good.
To ask, I would love to hear from the cast on what they took away from this experience. Is there something positive you experienced that you didn't expect by fulfilling this virtually? Anybody? And if you're off screen and you want to talk, just
for me, it's just good to perform, like to keep performing, like so we don't have to take a big break. We're still doing what we like to do.
Yeah.
Well, for me, this actually really tested some of my limits for emotions and acting and portraying certain things. So it really pushed me to grow as an actor to portray it through a screen instead of on stage, especially the really heavy emotions, because I haven't really had an opportunity to act with those kind of emotions before. So it really helped me grow.
He was going to say something.
Yeah. Were you done, Spenser? Okay. For me, the script kind of opened up my world and opinions and feelings about the 9/11 and the memorials. The way I felt the beginning of reading this is a little different from the way I feel now. Just more open to them than I was before. I can see the power that they have for people and maybe a little bit more understanding.
Okay, good.
Trevor?
No, I didn't live through 9/11. I'm too young for that. But, I do agree with Carol and the fact that with Summer that it just makes you think about how guilty people can feel. Even if they don't believe they did anything wrong, they can still put their own guilt on situation. I just think it's great. Okay, I'm done.
And others, can put, by putting guilt on you, can also cause a lot of problems. But, I just think you should all be very proud of being able to do this and do it so well virtually. And again, thank you.
We've got one last question. And
Okay.
Julie Pratt, I'm sure, again, no relation to these two.
I'll claim her this time.
I do not. Still no relation.
After I couldn't finish my joke. I don't know who she is.
That befriended or stood by him, meaning Harvey, in all those years. Can you speak to that at all?
Well, part of that was Harvey's own personality. He was very much withdrawn, I think, after being a target, really, in his own hometown. He wanted to stay there. He could easily have run away, I suppose. But the one, I consider it a strength of his that maybe even his character didn't realize he had, was that he did stay there and just tried to live his life. Maybe he hid himself a lot, but he was there. It seemed that he was developing a relationship with Glenn and a little bit with Carol. And, aside from 9/11, that very much could have, probably would have continued, and maybe he would have been able to, give himself to another person and have a relationship with Carol. I mean, we don't really know, but I think that was the main reason that Harvey didn't avail himself of his emotions and try to spend a lot of time with other people, because probably didn't trust other people's reactions in the town after so many years of being a target.
All right. Well, that brings our talk back to a close. Thank you so much, Bruce, for sharing your.
Thank you all, and
Yeah, thank you, Bruce.
Thanks, Jennifer.
thanks. And
Thank
don't
you, Jennifer.
forget the photo.
Yeah, we will. I will just close with saying that this week, not only do we have the final place development coming up on Saturday night, but on Friday, we'll be making an announcement about our plans for the rest of the 2020 season and potentially announcing the 2021 season. So lots of reasons to check back. I'm getting messages now on my phone about the show, which is exciting. Thank you all. If you want to view this play again or either of the two previous plays in development, you can do so at thesoc.org and click PID, Plays in Development, at the top of the screen.
Right.
Thank you all for have a happy, safe weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Guys.
All right.